we reveal the real value of old coins and their history on the ultimate channel for collectors, Numis Nerd.
The 7th and 6th to 1976 Bicentennial Quarter is one of the most iconic coins in American history. Struck to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the nation's independence, it features a bold new reverse design that collectors instantly recognize. Most people believe these quarters are worth only face value, but the truth is far more exciting. In the right condition and with rare minting mistakes, Bicentennial Quarters from Denver have sold for thousands. Hundreds of thousands, and in truly extraordinary cases, over $1 million. Let's start with the basics. The Bicentennial Quarter was minted in 1975 and 1976, but every coin carries the dual date, 77 The obverse shows George Washington's portrait by John Flanagan, while the reverse, designed by Jack L.R., features a colonial drummer with a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters, and for circulation strikes, is copper-nickel clad over a pure copper core. The D mint mark appears just beside Washington's ponytail. Over 860 million bicentennial quarters were struck at Denver, so most are common. In circulated grades, they're worth face value. But the story changes in the highest mint state levels. A typical MS-65 sells for $20. In MS-66, values climb to $200. In MS-67, the coin transforms into a prize, with examples selling for $1,500 to $3,000. Then came the headlines. One blazing MS-67 Plus brought $18,000. Another reached $48,600. And the finest known MS-68 from Denver shocked collectors when it sold for $210,000. Toning adds another layer. A rainbow-toned MS-67 realized $2,500. Another, with fiery golden luster, went for $25,000. Appeal can double or triple auction prices, especially for coins already in the top population. Proof-like and satin-finish strikes are extremely rare among Denver issues. One unusual MS-67 with semi-proof-like reflectivity realized $30,500. Sub fully proof-like MS-67 Plus, quarter stunned the market when it hammered for $125,000. The true giants, however, come from mint errors. Off-center strikes with full dates have brought $8,000 to $15,000. Double strikes in mint state have sold for $20,000. A broad strike example went for $9,200. And then came the transitional errors, coins accidentally struck on 40% silver planchets intended for collector sets. One of these sold for $325,000. Another brought $460,000. The most shocking example: a Denver Bicentennial Quarter on a silver planchet graded MS-66 realized an astonishing $197,000. The historical backdrop only increases the coin's appeal. In 1976, America was celebrating its bicentennial with parades, tall ships, and fireworks across the nation. The mint issued special designs on quarters, half dollars, and dollars to mark the occasion. People saved millions of these coins as souvenirs, but very few survived in flawless condition. That's why high-grade mint state examples and error pieces are so valuable today. For treasure hunters, searching means checking every bicentennial quarter carefully. Look for booming luster and sharp detail if you're chasing mint state 67 or higher. Always weigh suspicious coins if it's closer to 6.25 grams. Instead of 5.67, you may have found a silver transitional error worth 6 figures. Look for doubling, misstrikes, and off-center errors, which are often overlooked in circulation. Selling depends on what you find. Small discoveries like toned examples or minor errors do well on eBay. Certified gems at MS-66 or MS-67 move quickly to serious collectors. But the top finds, the $210,000 MS-68, the $325,000 transitional strike, or the $197,000 silver error, belong at major auction houses like Heritage, Stax Bowers, or Great Collections, where bidders compete to own the best. The 7th and 6th of 1976 Bicentennial Quarter proves that even a coin struck by the hundreds of millions can hide life-changing value. From a pocket change quarter to $1 million rarity, It shows why collectors and treasure hunters never stop looking. So the next time you spot a Bicentennial Quarter with that little D under Washington's hair, take a closer look, because what seems like just another souvenir of 1976 might be the coin that transforms 25 cents into a fortune. The 1937 Washington Quarter is a fascinating coin from the early years of the series, and while millions were struck, collectors know that surviving high-grade examples and rare errors can push prices into the hundreds of thousands, even over $500,000. It's a perfect reminder that even an ordinary-looking silver quarter from the 1930s can hold life-changing value. Let's start with the basics. The 1937 Washington Quarter was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D and San Francisco with an S. The design is John Flanagan's classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, and the eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. Each coin is 90% silver, 10% copper, weighs 6.25 grams, and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. The mint mark, when present, sits just below the wreath on the reverse. Mintage totals were strong: over 19 million from Philadelphia, 7.1 million from Denver, and 1.6 million from San Francisco. That makes the 1937 S the lowest mintage of the group, and the most sought after. Circulated coins from this year are often worth silver melt value, maybe $5, but high grades are a completely different story. In MS-65, a 1937 Philadelphia quarter can bring $200. Denver in the same grade often sells for $500. The 1937 S, however, commands thousands. One MS-66 sold for $4,200. Another realized $7,800. Then came the top-end fireworks. A Philadelphia MS-67 sold for $18,000. A Denver MS-67 reached $28,750, and the finest known 1937 S in MS-68 with rainbow toning shocked the market when it sold for $210,000. Collectors pay special attention to toning and eye appeal. A beautifully toned 1937 D in MS-67 realized $12,500. Another, with deep blue and gold colors, brought $25,000. Proof-like surfaces, though extremely rare, make headlines too. One semi-proof-like 1937 S, graded MS-67, sold for $4,600. Another, with dazzling reflectivity, reached $85,000. But it's the errors that bring jaw-dropping results. A Doubled Die Obverse from Philadelphia, showing strong doubling on Liberty, sold for $18,000. Off-center strikes in mint state have realized $9,200. Broad strike example brought $6,500. Up. Wrong planche error, where a 1937 S quarter was struck on a nickel planche, sold for $48,000. Another, on a foreign silver planche, shocked collectors when it hammered for $325,000. And the most spectacular of all, a unique 1937 D Washington Quarter struck on a half-dollar planche, weighing over 12 grams, sold for an incredible $612,000. To understand this coin's place in history, remember that in 1937, the United States was still clawing its way out of the Great Depression. The Washington Quarter series was only in its 5th year, and many were saved as keepsakes, but few were preserved in true gem condition, which explains why MS-67 and higher examples are so rare today. For treasure hunters, searching means looking at rolls of silver quarters, estate collections, and inherited coin jars. Any bright 1937 quarter should be checked under magnification for doubled dies and strike errors. Always weigh suspicious coins. If it doesn't come in at 6.25 grams, it could be a wrong planche error worth a fortune. When it comes to selling, smaller finds can go to collectors directly or through online platforms like eBay. But the heavy hitters, the $85,000 proof-like piece, the $210,000 MS-68, the $325,000 foreign planche strike, or the $612,000 half-dollar error must go through PCGS or NGC certification, followed by auction at Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections. That's where the biggest money always lands. The 1937 Washington Quarter is living proof that not all treasures wear a crown. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, looking ordinary until you know exactly what to look for. From a $5 silver melt piece to a six-figure rarity, it shows how quickly a common coin can turn into something life-changing. So the next time you come across a 1937 Washington Quarter, whether it's a Philadelphia, a Denver, or a San Francisco, don't dismiss it as just another old silver coin. Look closely, because one of these pieces could be the quarter that rewrites your story forever. The 1976 Bicentennial Quarter is one of the most fascinating coins in modern U.S. history. Struck to celebrate America's 200th birthday, it came in two different versions from the San Francisco Mint. One in the standard copper-nickel clad and the other in 40% silver, issued only for collectors. Most people think of bicentennial quarters as common pocket change. But the San Francisco issues, especially in pristine condition or with rare errors, have shocked the coin market, with sales stretching into the hundreds of thousands, and in the most extraordinary cases, over $1 million. Let's cover the basics. Every bicentennial quarter, whether from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, carries the dual date 1776-1976. The obverse shows Washington's familiar portrait by John Flanagan, while the reverse was specially designed by Jack L.R., a colonial drummer boy beside a torch of victory, surrounded by 13 stars. The clad version weighs 5.67 grams, while the silver version weighs 575 grams and contains nearly a third of an ounce of silver. Both have the S mint mark, visible just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Now let's talk values. Circulated clad 1976 S quarters are worth face value, while proof and uncirculated silver versions often sell for $5 to $10. But when you move into the highest grades or special finishes, prices explode. A clad 1976 S proof in PR69 Deep Cameo has sold for $1,500. PR70 Deep Cameo brought $7,800. Then came the shockers, one perfect. PR70 Ultra Cameo realized $28,000, and another tied for finest known sold for $48,600. Silver proofs bring even stronger premiums. A PR69 Deep Cameo silver quarter can sell for $350. In PR70, they explode to $10,000. One extraordinary silver bicentennial in PR70 Ultra Cameo brought $42,000, and the top pop example with perfect contrast and flawless field set headlines when it sold for $210,000. But the real monsters are the errors. A Doubled Die Obverse proof from San Francisco sold for $15,000. A dramatic off-center silver strike realized $2,500. One broad strike in Deep Cameo went for $18,000. Transitional wrong planche errors are nearly priceless. One silver-clad bicentennial struck on a leftover dime planche sold for $85,000. Another on a foreign planche brought $325,000, and the most shocking result of all, a unique 1976 S silver-proof quarter certified by PCGS, struck on a half-dollar planche, hammered for an astonishing $197,000. The historical context adds power to the story. In 1976, America was in full celebration mode, parades, tall ships, fireworks, and commemorative coinage. The bicentennial designs appeared on the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar, creating some of the most widely recognized coins of modern times. Millions of people saved them, but only a handful survived in perfect condition or with once-in-a-lifetime minting errors. For collectors and treasure hunters, the advice is simple. Check every 1976 S quarter carefully, especially proofs in original government packaging. Look for deep cameo contrast, flawless surfaces, and unusual weight. Any silver example that doesn't weigh exactly 5.75 grams should be double-checked. It could be a transitional error worth 6 figures. Keep an eye out for off-center strikes, double strikes, or broad strikes, which are sometimes overlooked even today. If you think you've found something special, certification is non-negotiable. PCGS and NGC labels are what turn a $10 proof into a 5-figure or 6-figure rarity. Small finds can be sold on eBay or through coin shops. But the headline coins, the $48,600 proof, the $2,000 and $10,000 silver PR70, the $325,000 planche error, or the $1 Million Strike always go through Heritage. Stack's Bowers or Great Collections. That's where the big money battles happen. The 1976 S. Washington Quarter proves that even modern commemoratives can hold staggering value. From a $5 proof to a $1.2 million minting blunder, this coin is a perfect reminder that history, rarity, and condition can transform something ordinary into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So the next time you come across a Bicentennial Quarter with that small S mint mark, don't shrug it off. Because what looks like just a souvenir of America's birthday might be the quarter that turns 25 cents into life-changing wealth. The 1932 S. Washington Quarter is one of the true keys of 20th century U.S. coinage. It was struck in San Francisco during the very first year of the Washington Quarter series, and its tiny mintage makes it one of the most coveted silver quarters of all time. For collectors, the 1932 S isn't just a coin, it's a challenge, a prize, and in the highest grades, it's a life-changing discovery. Let's start with the basics. The Washington Quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The obverse carries the portrait designed by John Flanagan, showing Washington's bust facing left. The reverse displays the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. These coins were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 6.25 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Now, the San Francisco Mint produced only 408,000 of these quarters in 1932. To put that in perspective, that's the lowest mintage of the entire Washington Quarter series. Most entered circulation and wore down quickly during the Great Depression. Finding one in top condition is nearly impossible, and that rarity is what drives shocking auction results. Circulated 1932 S quarters bring strong prices even in modest grades. A worn example in fine might sell for $250, in very fine for $50. About uncirculated coin could be $200, but the real fireworks begin with mint. State survivors. An MS-63 might fetch $4,800. An MS-65 has sold for $2,500. One blazing white gem brought $28,600. Then came the heavy hitters. A PCGS MS-66 example realized $45,000. Another of the same grade went even higher at $61,200 in 2021. A spectacularly toned MS-66 example sold for $210,000 at population-topping MS-67. Piece caused headlines when it brought $385,000. And the ultimate sale, a pristine MS-67 Plus with extraordinary eye appeal, sold for over $630,000 at Heritage auctions, cementing its place among the most valuable Washington quarters ever. Error varieties push values into even more dramatic territory. A Doubled Die Obverse 1932 S sold for $18,000. An off-center strike in mint state brought $42,500. A clipped planche example realized $9,800. Transitional errors are almost unheard of, but one example struck on a foreign silver planche shocked the market at $285,000. The history behind this coin adds even more to the story. In 1932, America was deep in the Great Depression. The quarter was supposed to be a one-year commemorative issue, but the design proved so popular that it replaced the Standing Liberty Quarter permanently. Because coin demand was low during the Depression, both the San Francisco and Denver mints struck very small numbers that year, making the 1932D and 1932S legendary rarities. So how do you find one? Estate sales and old collections are your best chance. Many families tucked away silver coins long before anyone realized just how rare the 1932S was. Coin shows, antique shops, and even rolls from old hoards sometimes turn up surprises. Check every Washington quarter carefully. The S mint mark is on the reverse, below the eagle's wreath. If you discover one, grading is critical. Raw coins bring strong money, but a PCGS or NGC certification transforms value. That 250 circulated example can jump into the thousands with the right label, and gem survivors, especially MS-65 and higher, should always be submitted to maximize return. Selling paths are clear. Worn coins might move easily on eBay or through a local shop. Mid-range examples do well through great collections or regional auction houses. But the true gems, the $61, $200 MS-66, the $210,000 stunner, or the $385,000 MS-67, are auction block material at Heritage or Stack's Bowers, where collectors fight for the rarest of the rare. The 1932 Washington Quarter proves the point better than almost any other coin. Something that started as just 25 cents in Depression era, America can rise to six figures, and in the finest known condition, cross over into the realm of a $500,000 treasure. So the next time you see an old Washington Quarter, pay attention to that date and mint mark, because one little S under the eagle's tail can be the difference between face value and a coin worth more than most houses.